Hey everybody, Luxinda Swirl here. We are basically going to start ourselves a twofer today. I wanted to try another tumbler with a skin that we make from a pour, and I thought, well, why not do something else with the pour while we're pouring. I found this Nido jar. It has a top that doesn't really fit on it right now because I've taped off the threads. I want to keep them free from paint so that I'll be able to put the top on later after the paint dries. So I'm going to turn the jar over. We're going to layer a cup with a variety of Artist Loft ready mixed pouring paints. And then we're going to pour over the jar onto this sheet protector I put down here. I put a picture in it so that you can sort of see where the edges of the 8.5 by 11 sheet protector are. The last time I tried to do this, I started with too little paint, you may recall. I'll link to that one below if you want to watch it. It turned out okay, but I would have preferred to do it one pour because I liked how the first pour looked better than the second pour. So I'm going to use more paint this time. We should need about 5 ounces to cover this, and I may go to 6 just because some will be left on the jar. Also, when I go to move the jar, I've got a red cup sitting here. I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to try to pick it up. It'll bump the edges, but it'll keep dripping, so that should be okay. And put it on the cup to finish drying. I didn't want to put it on the cup here because we would lose so much of the paint sticking to the sides of the cup. So that's why I'm going to do it this way and sort of hope it works out. So let us commence layering. As I said, Artist Loft Ready Mix pouring paints. We are using violet, silver, deep yellow, metallic white, aqua green, and bright blue. I should have waited to peel the paint out of this to show you what that's like. This was full of a previous pour's paint, and it just peeled out because, again, it's plastic. Acrylic paint is plastic, so it turns into a sheet of plastic and does not stick to the silicone, so it just pulled right out. So these are really neat bowls for that purpose alone. They're easy to reuse because you just peel the last pour out of it. Let us commence. I'm going to go for about 6 ounces. And this holds 10 ounces, so I definitely don't want to get to the top. Hopefully I'll remember that. I'm only going to use a little of the yellow. There was way too much yellow in our last skin that we did on a sheet protector, so I want a little bit, and I like this deep yellow a lot, but I don't want to overdo it and end up with a bunch of yellow like last time. And then this is the bright blue. I actually prefer the phthalo blue, but I'm running really low on that, so I thought I'd try the bright blue. Blue. Okay, I'd say we're well within our 6 ounce range. So we'll get these out of the way. We'll move our jar back to the center, like that. And it does have a little bit of a dip up here, so depending on how this goes, I may have to try pouring off at some point. I'm hoping not to. We'll see. So, here we go. It's looking pretty nifty. Didn't quite get full coverage over here, but pretty darn close, and it's going to keep flowing for a while. Looks like it may be slightly off kilter. Give it a few more seconds to run off, and then we will move it aside and tilt a bit. Try and get full coverage on our 8.5 by 11 sheet protector. Okay, here we go, very carefully. Tilt a bit over there. We'll just let it keep dripping there. All right. And now we tilt. This is a wrapped canvas board that I have underneath the sheet protector. It's, like I say, it's wrapped, so none of the paint will end up spoiling the canvas board, which I'll use for something else later, I'm sure. I just want to make sure we get full coverage and a nice design. We're looking for both things. Looks like we definitely have enough paint this time, which is good. That makes me happy. I do like these colors. Let's pull it back down a bit. Everybody's covered, all the corners. Alrighty. I think that's looking pretty sharp. What do you think? A little more this way. A bit. Ooh. Alrighty. Hot diggity dog. Alright, give me a sec to get cleaned up and we will go in for a close-up on this and on the jar. Lower right corner, up the side, to the upper right corner, across the top. Over to the left corner. Down the left side. To the bottom left corner. And along the bottom. All right, here's the whole thing. I know that sun in the background isn't helping any. Here's another side, and another side, the final side. Yeah, that turned out really pretty. It's going to be basically blue, but you know, that doesn't bother me in the least. The bottom's pretty nice too, I like that. We'll come back, we'll look at the dried version. So stay tuned. Hey everybody, Luxinda Swirl, we're back. It's really hard to tell that this is dried, or pour from what's yesterday, even though it's just a few seconds ago on the video. But this is the next day and it has dried. It's nice and shiny. I can touch it. I'm going to give it another day before I take an X-Acto to it and slice it up and try and glue it to a tumbler, because I want it to be completely dry, and I think it's a little tacky still in the center. Over here we have our jar, which is also mostly dry on the outside. I can touch it here with no problem, but I suspect this area of paint right here is very thick and still quite wet in the middle. So I'm not going to touch it or turn it over. I'm just going to leave it alone for a few days. I'll put it on a shelf. But I promised to come back the next day and show you how it looked. So I wanted to keep my promise. It doesn't look any different. And that's the good and maybe the bad thing about this particular paint. This is the Artist Loft Ready Mix Pouring Paint. It's fantastic to work with, holds the lines and definitions, great depth, no cells, which is okay. I don't want cells in this particular situation. But it's almost impossible to tell when it's dry and when it's not, except by touching it, and that's often a dangerous thing to do if it's not dry. So anyway, I think this was a big success. I will wait a couple more days, then I will cut the skin off of this sheet protector and Mod Podge it onto a tumbler and resin over it, and I will put that in a different video. So this is the end of part 1, seeing the next day, which looks exactly the same as the previous day, and part 2 will be completing the tumbler that goes with this, and by then the jar will be completely dry and we can take a better look at it with, turn it upside or right side up and put the lid on it, and you'll be able to see all of the detail. Thanks everyone, stay safe, I'll see you in the next video.